Hill is a professional rock climber who defined rock climbing for women. She was the first to free climb the nose of El Capitan in Yosemite National Park. Lynn grew up in a large family in suburban LA. She was interested in climbing from an early age and was often found climbing everything. I don't know why, but I was always climbing trees, telephone poles, even street lights, Lynn said. When she was a child, her parents got divorced and climbing was a coping method for her. When she was 14, she began climbing. Lynn Hill attended college at New Paltz, New York, where she majored in biology. She met her ex-husband, Russ Rafa, near her college. Lynn trained in the Gunks, one of the best places to climb. Hill met Rafa there, who climbed with her and finally married her. He worked in sales for Patagonia. They staged their marriage climbing in the Gunks together, but Hill revealed in her autobiography that they had a more formal wedding somewhere else. The world that we live in today is naturally biased towards women. It is harder for women to make a career in anything, but this applies especially to sports. Before Lynn Hill, very few women participated in rock climbing. No matter how women tried, men were always portrayed as better, stronger, and more athletic.
Well, so ever since I was a little girl, people used to make comments like, gee, I can't even do that. And it was some guy who thought just because he was a guy, he should be able to do it. And I was this 14-year-old, small, kind of not super muscular looking, but I was a gymnast and I knew how to use my body and I knew how to read the rock. And I loved rock climbing, from the very beginning. So I found that these comments were subtly telling me that I shouldn't be capable of doing what I was capable of.
Nowadays, women are celebrated but are still separate from men. They compete in different conditions and are never placed in a race against them. The average American woman is portrayed as skinny and not muscular. Lynn Hill sees herself as a tomboy but is very petite at 5 feet tall and weighing 100 pounds. She once said that height has nothing to do with it, it's your strength that counts. Despite sexist stereotypes, she was said to be one of the top 5 best rock climbers of her time, male or female. Rock climbing is gaining more popularity than ever as a competition and recreational sport. It got its start in Europe where mountaineering was common, and in the 1950s people started to treat it as a sport. A great spot for climbing is Yosemite National Park, which is home to the fabled El Capitan, a 3,000-foot tall granite slab. El Capitan is home to many routes that many famous rock climbers made their debuts on. Tommy Caldwell climbed the Dawn Wall, Alex Honnold climbed Freerider, and Lynn Hill became the first person, male or female, to ascend the nose without the assistance of an aide to help her. She enjoys bouldering, which is similar to climbing but on a smaller, more technical scale. She began bouldering in Joshua Tree National Park, and Hill decided that she felt most at home climbing outdoors and went on to make a name for herself. Hill's strength doesn't just apply to her climbing. She set a world record by bench pressing 150 pounds, 1.5 times her body weight. She also appeared on Survival of the Fittest, a television series where competitors race through different obstacles. She won 4 years in a row and won a total of $30,000, which funded her traveling and climbing. She was also sponsored by the North Face. Hill is also very involved in promoting climbing to women. In 1999, she went to Madagascar with a team of women to scale Tessaranaro Massif, a grade 5.13 climb. It is considered the hardest pitch climb ever taken on by a group of women.
I went back to the nose with a friend, a relative to me. She's 32, and she wanted to free climb the entire route, so I went with her and belayed her. She almost did it.
However, as Hill said, there is a risk in everything. Rock climbers are willing to take those risks, but sometimes they are not without consequences. In 1989, while climbing the Styx Wall in Vieux, France, Lynn made a near-fatal mistake. She had just finished her route and let her husband, Russ Rafa, who was belaying her, lower her down. When Hill let go of the rock, she plummeted 85 feet, hitting a tree on the way down. Luckily, she suffered only a broken ankle, dislocated arm, and cuts and bruises from the rough landing. It was a miracle that she survived. The mistake that she made was a rookie one, forgetting to tie a safety knot, but it almost cost her her life. Lynn was determined to keep climbing though, and after 4 months of rehabilitation, was back on the rock winning competitions. Lynn Hill broke many barriers in her climbing career. She was the first woman to climb Ophir Brook. She was also the first woman to climb a grade 514 route, which is a difficulty rank. That means it's extremely hard. In fact, the highest grade ever climbed is a 515, which was climbed by Chris Sharma. Hill also fought sexism, but by achieving what no man could. In fact, she once said that some men are afraid to attempt a free ascent of the nose because they did not want to fail at something a woman had succeeded at. Her most famous feat was her free climb of the nose. The nose is one of the most famous climbs in the world, right on the face of El Capitan, a 3,000-foot tall granite monolith. It draws climbers from all over to test their skills. Alex Honnold, who did the first free ascent of El Capitan without a rope, once said, "When I look at El Cap, I'm inspired to climb better, climb harder, climb faster." El Capitan was the subject of so many climbers' aspirations because of its massive height, which is something that isn't super common to find. It is accessible by road, plus it was formed by glaciers 220 million years ago. Hill and Honnold agree that it is human nature to want to do the impossible, to break the barriers of what was thought could happen. To free climb something, climbers can only use their hands and feet to pull themselves up the wall without altering the rock. This is considerably harder than using an eight, an artificial tool, to help scale the wall. Tommy Caldwell, who performed the first free ascent of the Dawn Wall, said Lynn's idea of what was possible to climb really was above and beyond everyone else's at the time. When asked about free climbing, Hill said, "Free climbing is all about adapting yourself to the rock, putting together a choreography of dance moves. The rock is what dictates the moves."
The nose is a 3,000-foot wall of granite, and when you walk to the base or even from the road and look up at it, it's amazing. It looks unreal. It looks like a painting. And I think as a climber, you look at it and say, wow, how am I going to actually climb that wall?
Hill's free ascent of the nose really pushed the standards of what was possible in the climbing world. A year after her debut climb, Hill returned to the nose and completed the route in under 24 hours. Hill defied what people thought was possible and went on to keep climbing and giving aspiring climbers a great role model to look up to. Today, at age 58, she is still climbing hard. Lynn Hill is still a profound member of the climbing community. In November, she climbed El Capitan with Nina Caprez. In addition to this, she is a member of the North Face climbing team and promotes climbing worldwide. She designed a clothing line for women and also published an autobiography, Climbing Free: My Life in the Vertical World.
I think the best way to inspire people is by example and by really living what you believe in.
Hill has a son, and though he isn't a climber like her, he is very athletic and interested in parkour.
It's nice to be able to support my son in what he loves to do. It doesn't have to be climbing.
Lynn Hill revolutionized climbing for generations to come. Her lasting impact changed the way that women see themselves and give them something to work towards. She has also inspired the next generation to start climbing, scaling walls of rock, and breaking the boundary of what's possible, just like her.
I really wanted to prove that girls are strong and capable, and we shouldn't be listening to people telling us what we can't do. Instead, we should look at what we can do and try to go beyond that.